Today on the freeze drying episodes, we're going to take these beets and we're going to turn them into beet powder, or sometimes called beetroot powder. So what I'm going to do is I already cut the tops off, which you can use those as well, but I chose not to on these here, just use the regular beets themselves. But I'm going to take and put these in a little pot. I'm going to boil them just a little bit to get the skin soft and peel them off, rather than using a peeler and peeling them off. That way I get just the skins off. And then we're going to slice them up, stick them in a dehydrator, the freeze dryer rather, and then we'll freeze them, and we'll go from there, and then we'll make some powder out of them. On the beets, I put enough water in here to cover them up. I'm going to put cold water. I'm going to bring it to a boil, and then boil them for just a little bit, and then turn it off, and then we'll pull them out while they're still hot. Pull the skins off. That's going to be easier than trying to do the peeler method. And some of them are a little bit smaller, like this one. It's a little bit more, and I don't want to do it with the little one. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to bring the temperature up and bring it to a boil. And like root veggies, like tomato, or potatoes, and beets and stuff, you put them in cold water and then bring the temperature up instead of putting them in hot water. But we're going to do that. By the time we get to boil, they're going to be fairly soft inside, and then we'll be able to probably slice them up, put them in the dehydrator, or the dehydrator. We're using the freeze dryer this time, and we'll freeze dry it, and then we'll make a powder, and then we'll have our beetroot powder we can put in whatever we want to put into. I didn't show removing the skins, but all you have to do is when you cook them a little bit, just rub your hands across them, and then the skins all come off. Of course, your hands turn red. But so now what I'll do is I'll go ahead and chop these up so they're pretty small, and we'll put them on the freeze dryer trays, and we'll freeze dry them, and we'll see how the beetroot powder turns out. After I get done, I cut them up, put them in the food processor. I had to add a little water to them because they're just too thick, so I add a little water to it to get it to the consistency like this. You can see it's fairly thick yet. I'll put that on the trays, and then we'll see what it looks like. And I taste a little bit. That really tastes like beets, so it's got a good flavor right now. And we'll dry it up, and we'll freeze dry it, and we'll see what it does.
There you go.
Don't want it real thick, but we don't want it too thin. So when I did the I think it was the apricots or something, or no, mandarin oranges, it's too thin, and there's really a lot of pain trying to get them going. So I'm going to make this a little bit thicker. Don't know how many trays we're going to fill up, but well, that should be good for that tray. Yeah, I'll try this one. All right, 2 trays it's gonna be. So we'll go ahead and get it started. They're still a little bit warm from taking the skins off. So we'll let this get down to temperature, and we'll go ahead and start it. All right, the beet powder is done. So we have them here. They're nice and red, real nice and dried. So we're going to go ahead and put them in the food processor, grind them up into a powder, and we'll put them into some jars. And I'll come back once I get that done. You've seen me grind up the stuff in the powder and food processor on many other videos, so I won't show that again this time. But come back when I get them all ground up into powder. Now here's what one of the trays look like, and I went ahead and did one tray. I got 2 trays in this powder. I'm going to go ahead and put them into a quart jar for now, and I'll come back once I get all that done. So here's what those beets did, and those 2 trays. It did a fairly good job of filling probably about half of it up. I'll put this in smaller jars later, but right now this is what I have available. I'll put them in little smaller ones, and that way we don't open up so much at a time. I'm gonna go ahead and vacuum seal this, and that's how you make beet powder or beetroot powder, or however you want to say it, depending on where you're at or what they call it. But this is how you freeze dry it and make it into a powder so you can use it later as flavorings.